Hello and welcome back to another how to paint tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at something slightly different. This is actually a 5-pack of models that comes in one box. If you're subscribed to Warhammer Plus or you were subscribed last year, you'd recognize this. If I can fit it all on screen here, just barely, is the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. He comes with 5 models total. 4 of them are very small, and I have 4 of them put together today. The 5th one, the Chaos Lord himself, is sadly still on the sprue. I haven't really had a chance to cut him out yet. But I feel like for this series, we're going to go ahead and just do these kind of one by one, one episode each. And then the Socerer Lord will probably also just be 1 episode, but he might turn out to be 2. That's okay though. We actually kind of want shorter episodes right now because my daughter's having her birthday, so I'm going to be busy for kind of the next day or 2. So this kind of gives me an excuse to do kind of focusing less on this and focusing more on her. But she is still asleep right now, so I'm going to take this excuse to go ahead and get some Abaddon Black. As always, we've already done a thin layer of primer. Specifically, I try to show this off every video, but sometimes I forget. Vallejo Surface Primer. It's very cheap. You can find this on Amazon. It's actually meant for airbrush, so it's already super thin down, but that means you don't really have to use water when you're adding it, which is great for our purposes and makes it even quicker. So, and hopefully this time I can keep our little guy in focus. With my last video I did a horrible job of that. We're going to go ahead and apply, stay nice, starting layer all over. Now normally when I do black for the first layer, it's more for shading reasons and we don't care about getting proper coverage, but this time this is actually going to be kind of the bulk of our guy's armor. I'm not very creative despite the fact I paint Warhammer, so we're going to go according to the box art, especially because I don't have a I don't know, is he a Chaos Army, I guess, as the name suggests. I don't have any demon armies for 40k specifically, or fantasy, rather, sorry, or 40k, really. I don't do Chaos in general. I want to, at some point, especially now that I've been starting to 3D print a little. It's definitely more kind of available to me. So, someday. I definitely want to do some Thousand Suns. I just finished All Is Dust, and man, I have this kind of problem where every time I finish one of the Horus Heresy books, I immediately want to build that army. I'm sure the others of you who have read the series can relate to that. And especially because every army is just so cool. Say what you will about Games Workshop, you know, they're super overpriced a lot of time, and they make great models, they really do, but the price point is just kind of insane sometimes. They make great paints as well. I have no complaints there. I know some people kind of don't like their newer formulas, especially for Known Oil, and I say this every time I feel like, so just repeating myself. But, man, they do some great lore. They have some really good writers. I really appreciate kind of all of their efforts there. And as this Abaddon Black is kind of drying up, we went ahead and applied a second layer. Bump my microphone there. I accidentally put my trusty paper towel on top of it, sorry. And again, I'm kind of getting over a month-long cold, so you have to forgive me there. Now, we have a couple of different colors picked out today. Not too many. This is a very small model, so it's not going to be too much going on. And actually, there is a color that I forgot to grab, if I can find it. Bear with me. Is this brown? Yes. We also want brown. Dryad bark is going to be the boots. I don't think... Probably the belt, too. Actually, I didn't see that until now. So it's going to be the boots and belt. The horn and kind of this little... if I have my small brush here. There's a name for this little chest piece of armor. I totally forget what it is. It's not a pauldron. That's the shoulders. Whatever. Tilt shield, I guess. It's kind of too round for that, but it works for our purposes. We're going to be doing that with Balthazar gold, if I can get it on camera. There you are. And the kind of tarp here is I don't even know what you call that. I'm so bad at this. Is his little loincloth there that you have hanging down. We're going to make that red with corn red for chaos, of course. How could you not use that? And then his sword and any other tiny little details. I think his medallion in the middle of his chest there specifically, we're going to be doing with a nice coat of lead belcher. We're not going to be doing any washes today. We're going to kind of save that until we're finished with everything. And the reason for that is it's just too quick to do, to kind of really focus on it last minute. We're going to be waiting a hot minute for it to dry anyway. So we're just going to do that after we've finished probably our 4 small models, and then we'll apply it. That way we don't have to wait as long to show off the finished project. We'll go ahead with our lead belcher here. Now, it's kind of at a weird angle because I don't want to get that helmet. And we'll just apply it kind of liberally to the sword here. Make sure that your paints are thin, as always. If this is your first time watching, basically just means add water. That's it. It's not some super hard technique to master. It might seem like it if you're first starting out, but that's okay. If you're ever in doubt, too much water is better than too little. And you can always go and add another layer, right? You don't want to have to worry about it too much. So that's a solid first starting layer. And actually, I might leave it like that. It kind of, with the black underneath, it adds a nice kind of shading to it. And I really already like that. So we're not going to mess with it too much more. And we're going to get a little bit more lead belcher here. And if my steady hands will let me, of course, oops. And if I can't bump the camera, there we are. We're going to try to get it just on this little amulet here he has in the center. And it helps that that's a raised up feature. We don't have to worry about kind of getting too much on the rest of his armor just because it's a height difference, so it makes it a little bit easier for us. And actually, I was going to do another layer of Abaddon Black, but I kind of like the effect we have going on now. Yeah, that could work. We'll make that work. I like that. So, we're going to move on to our next small little detail here. Again, we have Balthazar Gold. If you have Retributor armor, good lord. You can also use that. I like that a little bit more for things like Ultramarines, kind of that you want a brighter gold color. I feel like Balthazar Gold is better kind of bronze-ish, but I figured we'll use it a little bit more. I don't really use it much with my models, so I want to start getting some more mileage out of it. We're just going to apply this to, again, his little horn here on his shoulder. If you really want to, you can make it kind of like a bone color, make it an organic kind of thing. See if I can't get this awkward angle here without ruining it all. I spilled a tiny little bit, but that's okay. And then again, we're going to be coming at this tiny little tilt shield here. Now, if you have shaky hands like me, and of course we see this every episode, so it's nothing new, it just kind of making sure that your hands are touching while you paint helps with keeping your hands steady. Again, the Citadel Painter handle is, I can't recommend it enough. I think it also helps quite a lot in that regard. Make sure there's kind of nothing else we missed. Maybe we'll do his belt buckle as well. And this one we're definitely going to be making a little bit of a mess with. So kind of bear with me here. But that's okay because we'll be doing a coat of brown after this. And that can kind of hide our mistakes well enough. That's what I'm here for, after all, is hiding our mistakes. That is pretty much all that painting is. It's just doing layer after layer, covering up the things that were fine and then you ruined. At least in my case. But hopefully you guys don't have that same issue. I hope that you guys have great success with your paint jobs, and you don't have to go over areas you've already done. I hope nothing but the best for you. But if you're anything like me, you just know that's not going to be the case. And now for the boots here. Again, I'm not too clever, so we're going to be doing this kind of as close to the box art as we can get. And looking at it, it kind of goes up to the knee pad almost. It's kind of hard to tell, especially with these smaller models, where certain parts of them begin and end. But that's okay. We'll come in here, we'll get all these really weird little angles. And the lighting setup I have on my desk is actually kind of blinding me right now as I try to do this, so if I miss anything, I'm super sorry. I'll try to rectify it before I get to the finished product here. And if I don't get it in this part, we are doing kind of 4 parts, 5 parts, depending for each of these little guys. So if I don't get it in this one, I promise I'll fix it in post somewhere, and I will update you guys. Don't worry. And get the back. Again, if you don't get perfect coverage the first time around, you kind of, that just means you have thin enough layers. It means that your paint's not going to look too rough, which is the desired effect. You don't want your paint too thick. And the reason I repeat that so much is that I feel like even I don't listen to my own advice sometimes, and I end up doing it anyway. So I know that guys who are doing this for the first time, or gals, I won't discriminate, have the same problem. And another thing that I like to harp on a little bit is not just how much water you have in your paint, which is a key factor, but also how much paint you have on your brush when you go to apply it to your model. That can kind of be the make or break. Many times I have had a perfect amount of thinning with my paint. Knocked my light there, whoops. Just to go on and get too much paint on the brush and kind of negate the fact anyway. So you want to be careful with that. And we will come back with some more brown. Luckily I didn't forget the tiny details this time. And this is a super weird angle, so you have to bear with me a little bit as this is going to be messy. And of course I bumped the camera again. It's not going too bad so far. It could be worse. Go back over it a little bit. I can't really see. Again, my lighting setup's kind of like blinding me, but I think I haven't butchered it too much. And now all we have to do is the front. And that's where all the details are. So this might go poorly. And this is where it helps to have really thin down paint, because if you do make a mistake, sometimes when it dries, it just kind of fixes itself, especially if you're painting dark colors onto another dark color, like brown and black here. So we're going to get some more brown, make sure it's thinned down properly, and try to get this other side here. If you're left-handed, doing the right side will be much easier. If you're right-handed, doing the left side will be much easier. Vice versa kind of deal. So either way, at some point you're going to be having a bit of a bad time with this. But I think for what we want, that looks like pretty good coverage. We'll go over a little bit more on the boots here. That's the other nice thing about doing dark colors on dark colors. You kind of can't tell. Go ahead and finish these off. Make sure we get the insides, even though you can't really see it too well. At some point, someone's going to pick up your model to inspect it, and it might be you, it might be your friend, it might be someone at a tournament you're going to or whatever, and they're going to notice the little gray spot that you missed, and they're going to point it out to you, and you're going to feel like a failure. But don't feel like a failure, because everyone has gray spots in their model. Even the pros. Even the pros. They're there somewhere. I know it. Alright? They're hiding, but they're there. And now we're going to the slightly more difficult part, which is getting a brighter color onto a darker color. So this might take us a layer or two. That's okay. And I put a little bit too much paint on my brush. And I don't have my palette on screen here. We'll try to scoot it over. So you can't really tell what I'm doing behind the scenes here. But I'm just kind of getting the excess off my brush there. And if I can do this while staying in focus, that would be great. I'm just going to go ahead and paint his little, I said the right thing earlier, loincloth. There we go. Almost immediately forgot it was. That's okay, that's just my dementia catching up to me. Go ahead and apply it all over. Try not to get it on the rest of the armor. That would be disastrous. And we didn't do too bad. Now, see if we can do the back the same way. And I feel like the back of these kind of talbard, loincloth, whatever you want to call them, deals is always a little bit more tricky, just because not only are you going like around the legs here, you're also going into a very dark kind of shaded area, so you can't tell where the armor begins and where the cloth kind of starts. Like right here, I'm just guessing. Right back there, and it looks like I kind of got it all, at least from what I can tell. So we're gonna go ahead and say we got it all, right? That's the only thing that matters, is how it looks to us. And I realize there is one small little detail we forgot to get with the brass, and I want to rectify that in just a moment. And that is the crossguard of the sword. There is always a tiny detail I will forget every video, I assure you. We're gonna have to go back and fix something, but this time it's something very small, and I noticed it before we finished, so it's not the end of the world. And we're going to do this more red for his hilt. Just a nice little coating of it. I don't want to jinx it, but so far I haven't been getting our paint absolutely everywhere. Normally when I do especially smaller models like these, I'm always kind of spilling over into areas I don't want, and so far I think I've avoided that pretty well. So give ourselves a little pat on the back there, just do another real light shade, and that should be it for the red. And I want to do kind of on that belt buckle, I want to do one little pass over of that bronze, or what is it, Balthazar gold. It looks like bronze to me. It's technically gold, I guess, if you go by the naming scheme, but I'd argue it. I would really argue it. And I'm sorry I have to keep opening and closing my paint pots here. I don't want them drying out on me. Citadel paint, if you have bought them before, is very expensive. And James Workshop himself will come and punish me if I waste any of it. Jimmy Space, James Workshop, whatever you prefer to call him. And be very careful here. We don't want to get it onto the silver, because then we have to go back and redo the silver. And here's a kind of tricky part, the back of that crossguard. And we haven't ruined it too much, at least not noticeably. So one more pass over this little belt buckle, and it's not perfect, and you know, I don't really have a small enough brush with me to kind of get the detail I want specifically with that belt buckle, but overall I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a pretty finished little guy there. Again, we're just kind of doing kind of shorter videos for this one. I've got some other stuff going on today, so I can't really stick around too much. Otherwise, I'd just do all these 4 guys in one and call it like a mega episode or something, right? But there's our finished product. Let me actually look at what this guy's called. Eldritch Familiar is what the 4 of these are called. They don't seem to have specific names. Oh well. I don't know what I would name them myself, so fair enough, James. Fair enough. We have a kind of cauldron with legs. That'll probably be our next project. We have a frog. He kind of looks like a Murloc from WoW or World of Warcraft, if you're not familiar. And we also have a little kind of messenger wizard guy. who, if we painted him the wrong color, could be seen as kind of the excuse me, something that's not too friendly to modern audiences, right? So we're gonna avoid that. We're actually gonna do like red or something for that. Definitely not white. That's dangerous territory right there. We don't want any of that. But again, we'll finish up with the washes and the basing in the final part when we have all 4 of these models finished up, just because it's a very quick process and I don't want to wait around for it to dry for these individual parts. But if you guys enjoyed this and you want to see some more, go ahead and check out the rest of my channel. I also have Space Marines, I also have Star Wars stuff, whatever you guys are interested in. I also have a Patreon now if you'd like to investigate that. I don't have a link to it in my description yet. I'm waiting for like a YouTube verification thing. I don't really know what it's all about, but it told me it'd take like 24 hours. But it is in my channel description if you'd like to support me. All the money that I make there goes right back into the channel, buying paints, buying models, everything like that. It's not necessary. I don't want you guys to feel compelled to do it, but I would greatly appreciate it. And it helps me make more content more often. So if you like what you see and you want to see more, no reason not to, right? Again, don't feel pressured to. It's just a side thing, and I'd greatly appreciate it if you did, but not necessary. Either way, thank you guys very much for watching. If you want to see more like this, check out the rest of my channel. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next video.